Can't burn a candle from both ends. Tissa 5782. Is it possible that the rabbis actually made a mistake when they translated the Torah? Well, that actually appears to be the case. The first time the rabbis translated the Torah, it was translated from Hebrew to Greek in Alexandria, Egypt, around the 2nd century BCE. The translation is called the Septuagint, or in Hebrew, Hashivim, the 70, because 70 rabbis translated the Torah. The story in the Talmud is Ptolemy II, the king, the pharaoh in Egypt, commanded the rabbis to translate the Torah. But what he did is he put these 70 rabbis each in a separate room so they couldn't collaborate. But miraculously, when they finished working independently, each one of them had the exact same translation. However, the Talmud in Megillah notes there appears to be an error in this translation. They wrote in Greek that on the 6th day, God finished creating. But that's not what the Hebrew says. Elohim b'yom hashvi'i malachto asher asa v'shbot b'yom hashvi'i mikol malachto asher asa. On the 7th day, God finished the work that he had been doing, and he ceased on the 7th day from all he had done. Now, in fairness, the Hebrew is unclear. Did God finish his work on the 7th day? Or had he already completed his work on the 6th day and simply rested on the 7th day? The answer is yes. How can the answer be yes? It's a contradiction. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs explains that the last part of the work process was the rest. God was working on the 7th day by resting, by taking a break. So now the question is, why did the rabbis mistranslate the text and say that God finished on the 6th day, when if you look at the Hebrew, we see he really finished the work on the 7th day? By the way, if a teacher saw all the students had made a mistake, but it was the same mistake, the teacher would suspect the students of cheating. But Rabbi Sachs explains this was a deliberate mistake on the part of the rabbis. Why did they deliberately mistranslate the text in Greek? Well, you have to look at the time and consider the context of that time. The Greeks openly mocked the Jews for being lazy because these Jews had the audacity, the chutzpah, the nerve to take a day off a week. They thought the Jews were lazy because they rested one day a week. What they failed to understand is rest is part of work. It is part of the creative process. Now, today we understand that nations, societies, families, people can become burned out. Look at the superpowers of yesteryear from Europe. They became fatigued and burnt out. We're all suffering from COVID fatigue. Think about it personally. How often are the mistakes you make caused in large part simply because you're tired? Later on, think about it. Probably a lot of them are. Think about all the accidents which occur on the roads simply because people are tired. I remember once hearing a lecture from a Civil War historian, and he was speaking about Robert E. Lee and how he made a very bad judgment and error which hurt his army, the Confederacy, tremendously. The historian said, or asked the question, how in the world can Lee, this vaunted general, this great military mastermind, make such a bad move? And then he points out that over the last 2-3 days, he had slept only 2 hours or so over the course of 3 days. and pointed out when you sleep that little, when you're that sleep deprived, when you're not resting, it's going to take a toll on you. You will make bad decisions. The act of hadlachat nerot, of candle lighting, is a weekly reminder that you can't burn a candle from both ends, at least not if you want to be successful in the long run. As Rabbi Sachs puts it, Shabbat is the world's first source of renewable energy. In the middle of the building of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, which is supposed to be a mini creation, it mirrors the creation of the world, the building of the tabernacle. Once again, the Torah pauses to speak about Shabbat. Why? Because it reminds us that Shabbat, the need to observe Shabbat, even supersedes the need to build the Mishkan. The building of the Mishkan is a 6-day-a-week job. And just as God rested when he was creating, we too, when we're creating, still need to remember to rest. In the Parsha itself, we're told, V'yom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash. On the seventh day, God rested. But that's really a poor translation of v'yinafash. We hear in the word v'yinafash, nefesh. God was soulified. His soul, in a sense, was renewed by resting. Rest renews our soul. There's an idea that on Shabbat we receive a neshama yetera, an additional soul. Because we rest, our soul is reinvigorated and renewed, so we're ready for the challenges that we'll meet in the week to come. We can apply all of this to our situation now during the pandemic. Omicron reminds me of Yogi Berra's famous adage, it's deja vu all over again. Again, we've been forced to alter our behavior, to limit our behavior, and we're exhausted by it. This has been going on for over 2 years at this point. The idea of Shabbat is a reminder that we need to take care of ourselves, particularly during a pandemic. Hadlachat nerot, candle lighting, reminds us that you simply cannot burn a candle from both ends. Give yourself a break and give a break to those around you. And may we all come back refreshed.